So sit back, get comfortable and cozy, relax, 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 and we'll get straight into it. The first story of the evening was originally posted by a user called koolaidjammersz. Their story is called "Someone Was Outside My Bedroom Window Last Night." I am super creeped out right now. I, 27, female, was home completely alone and sleeping in my bed in the middle of the night last night. I was woken up by the sound of someone trying to push up on my locked bedroom window. I couldn't see the window because it was past my footboard on the other side of the bedroom, and I was laying down. But I knew that unmistakable sound of the window being locked and the jiggling sound it makes because I've locked myself out plenty of times and I've tried to get through that window before. I sat up to get a look, and I saw a dark silhouette of a person looking in the window. I laid back down for a second, really confused and tired, and when it actually clicked in my head what I had seen, I sat right back up. They were gone. I tried to get back to sleep, but I was spooked for the rest of the night, as one would be, I mean. In the morning, I thought I might have dreamt it after I called everyone I knew that it possibly could have been, and nobody knew anything. Nobody had been at my house last night. Nobody I knew would just try to get into my bedroom window in the middle of the night anyways, especially when I don't think this person even knocked on the front before trying to open the window. It would also be a very strange thing to do, to go over to somebody's house in the middle of the night in the first place, and then when you've knocked on the front door and there's no answer, to then try and get in through the window, unless you're a burglar, of course. I went outside to investigate to see if I was just crazy and I had imagined it. I looked at the window and there I saw handprints of whoever was trying to slide up on the glass. Also, it had rained, so I could see muddy shoe prints going to and from my window. I have no idea who they were or what they wanted, but I am so glad my window was locked. Can you just imagine somebody trying to break into your bedroom window while you're and saw a crippled old lady begging for help and telling me that she needed to get into her apartment. I helped her, took an elevator and took her to her door. To my surprise, the door was wide open. When I went inside, she asked me if I could go to a nearby shop to buy her wine and some cigarettes. She then proceeded to give me her credit card and keys and insisted on the fact that I should leave my bag in her house. I of course said no thank you. Even though the situation was weird, it wasn't that scared me the most. It was the inside of her apartment. There were no decorations, no pictures or anything. It was absolutely disgusting in there. There was some kind of chair with excrements on it, and the walls were filled with cracks. I got scared, took the card and the keys, tried to act normal, and then I wanted to test if it was a real card. I went to the store and the woman in there said that the card wasn't a real one. It was at this moment that I decided to not go to her house again, and I gave the keys and the card to the police. A friend of mine told me that she saw that exact old woman saying the exact same things she told me, and the scariest thing is that she saw a man bring her outside and immediately go back inside the apartment. The area where she was is known for being dangerous. There was recently a shooting between drug dealers in daylight, for example. I think I just nearly died or something. What do you guys think? That's some scary stuff. I think that if I was in that situation, I would also have been extremely frightened. I don't think that the person who wrote this, their life was in danger. I think that's a bit of a leap to make, though it could be possible, I suppose, but to me it seems more likely that this was story was originally posted by a user called fairYitales. Their story is called The Gas Attendant. About 10 years ago, I was enrolled in a post-baccalaureate program at a nearby university. One particular morning, I stopped by an Exxon Mobil gas station on the way to school around 6 a.m. to study for an exam. This is a really good student. The gas station is on a major road, but even so, at that time, there wasn't a ton of traffic. I pull into the gas station and notice that I am the only car there, but no big deal. The station is well lit and I'm near a high traffic area. As the gas is pumping, I'm facing the pump station and I'm just watching my money drain away in the tank. Oh, well, I think everyone can relate to that. As the price nears the sign of a full tank, I turn around to get ready to pull out the pump. And there, on the other side of my car, is the gas attendant. This man looked to be in his late 50s, early 60s. He had on a full gas attendant outfit and he looked a bit unkempt. His hair was in patchy disarray and I could see his white chest hairs peeking out of his nearly half unbuttoned outfit, stretched out over his pot belly. I love that description. Some people are really talented in their writing. Immediately, the hairs on the back of my neck raise and my palms begin to sweat. In that state of panic, my first experience, mind you, I waited to hear the click of a full tank instead of getting myself in my car. I waited for what was probably about 2 minutes, but felt like 15. And in those 2 minutes, here is what transpired. I don't quite remember the introduction, but I remember him asking me where I was born. I was born in New York, but I knew what he meant. I'm Korean, I replied. Korean, eh? I was stationed in Korea for a few years. Oh yeah, that's cool. As he is speaking, he is slowly making his way around the back of my car, inching towards me. Yeah, I dated a bunch of Korean girls and I had a lot of intercourse with them. He is now at the trunk of my car. Click. Gas is full. I quickly put the pump back and say, "That's great, I've got to go." Thankfully, I had left my door open, and as I quickly got into my car, he had made it to my door and just missed his chance to keep my door open. I jetted out of there and later pulled over, shaking. Now here is the crazy part that has convinced me that something bad would have happened if he had gotten to me. After telling my mum the experience I had a couple of days later, her face turns completely white. I asked her what was wrong, and after she confessed first rush. A religious woman, my mum, was just praying, preparing herself for another day of serving customers in an impoverished neighbourhood, when everything around her went dark. A feeling of dread and fear consumed her, making her shake. Not knowing what was happening, she just started to pray for protection out of gut feeling. The moment she experienced this was the exact moment when I was at the gas station. I periodically check for any news stories of this guy in my hometown, and I've yet to see any. Or maybe he just hasn't been caught yet. Don't you just hate it when random weirdos on the street start talking to you? Pretend like they've known you for years, asking personal questions and just bothering you in general when you're clearly uncomfortable. I feel so sorry for this person in this story, and I'm glad they got out of there safely and unharmed. I think it is pretty cool though that this person has such a deep connection with their mother, that she feels when something is going on and her child is in danger. You hear about that kind of connection with twins often as well. It's kind of a legend that twins can feel each other's pain, but I think it's what they mean is more like this, like a deep connection, and you can feel when somebody you love is in a pickle. And it's just wonderful that this Redditor has such a relationship with their mother. Alright, last one for this evening. This is a story that was originally posted by a user called alphaketoglutarate 18. Their story is called "The Rolls Royce Was Running the Whole Time." This story takes place in the summer, in August, when I went to visit my friend in another city. I'd been there for one day, and this night we decided to go out for some drinks and for dinner. While we were walking to the restaurant, dressed to the nines, a couple of men who were older than us stopped us and asked what we were doing that night. We chatted and they asked if we would be willing to come for a drink with them after. My friend and I, being young and liking the attention, of course, we said that we would see how we felt, and they said that they would be staying at the restaurant that we saw them outside of, and that their usual table was right next to the patio entrance. We went out for dinner, and as we were walking back, not thinking of these men that we previously encountered, we heard them calling us over, and they said, "Just join us for a drink." My friend and I kind of looked at each other, and it was only about midnight, so we decided that we would go and join them. assertive, so she decided to ask for 2 triples and a shot of an expensive tequila when they asked what we wanted to drink. They laughed and said how they liked that she knew what she wanted. The drinks came out pretty quickly, but the shots were taking a while, and one of the gentlemen had gotten up and left the table. We assumed to take a call. After a few minutes, the guy came back to the table and sat down next to my friend, and the shots came out not long after with the waitress. Not thinking anything of this, my friend and I took the shots, and almost 5 minutes later, my friend looked at me and said, "Something is wrong. I don't feel right." My friend, in general, tends to overreact in some situations, so I brush it off and I don't worry. Everything's okay. Also, I think the next part of the story is not coming from my own recollection. It is coming from my friend's memory, because unfortunately, I don't remember anything that happened next. My friend said that I began slurring my words and acting a lot more drunk than I should be, and one of the guys suggested that they give us a ride home because I didn't look so well and I had probably drank too much. My friend asked if they had a car, because in this big city it's not common to drive around. It's more common to taxi or Uber, and they had pointed to a Rolls Royce that had illegally tinted windows and was running with a driver in the front, about 5 feet away from the patio that we were sitting on. My friend immediately got a weird feeling, and though she was also feeling kind of loopy and dizzy, she got both of us out of there. She said she provided no explanation, and she grabbed me by the arm and started dragging me down the street and into a downtown, highly populated area whilst booking an Uber. According to my friend, the entirety of the Uber ride, I was sweating profusely, vomiting. I could barely walk, I couldn't speak. My eyes were rolled back and I was completely incoherent. When asking my friend about how I got so sick and she didn't, she reminded me that she had been drinking a lot the night before and wasn't feeling that great, so she only took about 1/3 of the shot because she wasn't able to finish the whole thing because she thought she was going to puke. Me, on the other hand, of course I took the entirety of the shot down and clearly got a higher dose of whatever was given. The next day, of course, I felt like absolute garbage. Needless to say that my friend definitely saved both of us that night from an unknown group of men who had unknown intentions with 2 young, drunk and drugged girls in the heart of a big city. I am so sorry, firstly, if you can hear some white noise in the